Welcome back, people. It has been a few days, but I'm back to discuss what has been a fantastic weekend, not just for Arsenal, but for um, football games. It's been fantastic, hasn't it, in terms of the derbies, Manchester United, Manchester City, and of course, Arsenal and Spurs. I'm not going to lie, guys, it was a real nervous weekend after we saw what had happened in the Manchester derby. I really was kind of rooting for a draw there, but the pressure was on yet again. But we keep delivering. We keep delivering. Before we start, make sure you smash a like on this video. Make sure you subscribe. It's absolutely free to do so. And if you can help us to the road to 7K, that would be amazing. If you do want to get your questions in, guys, then please do. I want to do a little bit of a Q&A tonight to see how that goes. So any questions you want to ask, smash them into the comment section. And if you do want to put in a super chat, you don't have to. If you do want to put in a super chat, of course, your question will go to the front of the queue. Let's get into this. I'd love to see some interaction and get your opinions on what you thought of yesterday's game and, of course, the weekend's fixtures. And the fact that we are now 8 points clear at the top. It is unbelievable to be halfway through the season, 8 points clear. People are now finally starting to put respect on the Arsenal's name and saying that they could be well and truly favourites going into what is going to be an exciting title race. Manchester United putting themselves back in with a chance, along with Manchester City. And of course, Newcastle aren't too far off when you look at things either. So this could be a really interesting one. But bad news for Liverpool. Chelsea got a win, but it's been a shocking season. Liverpool are so bad. It is unbelievable. And of course, Tottenham, you lose yet again. Before we get into it, I believe that we need to address the elephant in the room, which, of course, is the Mudryk deal and how I'm feeling about that. I have to be honest with you. I have to be really honest with you. I'm not devastated at all. And I'm going to tell you why I'm not devastated. Because I didn't have my heart set on Mudryk. And the reason I didn't have my heart set on it is because I don't know enough about the player. If this was a Declan Rice or a Jude Bellingham type signing, then I'd probably be a bit frustrated that we've lost out financially to Chelsea when, for the sake of 5 or 6 million, we probably could have matched the bid. What I will say is we clearly have looked at that player and said he's worth X. We're only prepared to pay X. And once Chelsea came in and blew us out the water and said, here you go, just take this now. We're not going to give you installments. We're not going to give you the 75 plus the 25 in a few years' time. We're going to give you up to 88 million pounds, rising to 100 million euros when you look at the transfer weekly wages that he's getting, as well as the transfer. We're out the race. We ain't going to get him. And, it's rather embarrassing as far as Mudryk is concerned that he's been twerking for Arsenal for 6 weeks and then all of a sudden goes to Chelsea just like that. It's crazy, isn't it? Is this Chelsea bullying Arsenal in the transfer market? No, I don't think it is. I think it's Shakhtar bullying Chelsea and any other team that wants to play over the odds for a player. Now, I'm not really one of these Arsenal accountants that don't actually care. If it's a player we really want, I'd like to see a show ambition to go and get him. But at the same time, when Chelsea come in and offer mad money, there's only one place that Mudryk was going to go. So I have to look at that and say, yeah, I think it's probably time to move on from that. Absolute Vlahovic 2.0, and we move forward to try and have what I would think would be a respectful window with 2 or 3 signings coming in within the last couple of weeks, which I still believe needs to happen if we do want a title race. You can throw names at me all you like, and I'll be interested to get your opinions on who you think we should go for, and I'm happy to take your questions. Rumours of Zaha, rumours of Tielemans, rumours of Trossard, Ivan Toney and Mitrovic, people are talking about getting. Listen, we're going to be linked with everybody under the sun for the next couple of weeks. We've just got to grin and bear it and hope that Edu and Arteta have a better plan than the one they had or the one they lacked last January. That's my thoughts on that one. We move into what was an unbelievable performance in the first half from Arsenal. I honestly believe that we are looking at one of the best performances in recent history at the Arsenal, particularly under Mikel Arteta. I couldn't believe how good we were in that first half. Now, I'm going to come to Conte and Tottenham in a minute, but I want to big up some of our players at the moment. I want to big up some of them individually, but I want to kind of look at the partnerships at the moment and the departments in our team. First of all, we have to mention our goalkeeper. Player of the match, Aaron Ramsdale, 7 shots, 7 saves. Probably, 2 of them were up to world class. The others I would probably expect my goalkeeper to save, but absolutely superb. But I think we have to be serious about this. We have a better goalkeeper than Hugo Lloris at Tottenham. I am sorry, but we have got the better goalkeeper. And I've been saying it for 2, 3 seasons now, and everyone's been saying, no, Lloris is a World Cup winner. Lloris is the better goalkeeper. Lloris has done it for a longer period of time. I don't care what he's done. He's been at Tottenham and he's won nothing. He's yet again made an absolute clanger. And Aaron Ramsdale, as Alan Shearer said on Match of the Day, tale of two goalkeepers, was superb. Aaron Ramsdale is a better goalkeeper than Hugo Lloris. Period. I'm sorry. I ain't having it anymore. That the combined 11s, I see Tottenham fans trying to put Lloris in. Oh, yeah, I think Lloris is still just a good enough. How many more consistent performances do we have to see from Aaron Ramsdale? I can name 5 clangers that Lloris has made in one hand, one season now. I can't name 5 mistakes Ramsdale's make in an Arsenal shirt yet. So I don't see how people can even compare the two. That's my thoughts on that. Then I want to come to us defensively, because no matter how much you look at Arsenal's history of defending in the last 10 years, you are not seeing anything like it. It's not replicated with this back line. We have been absolutely immense. Zinchenko, one of the best players on the pitch yesterday. In that first half, he was outstanding. The inverted role that he plays really does come inside that midfield, playing alongside Partey, Xhaka and Ødegaard, and it absolutely swamped Tottenham. They had no answer for it. It was as if we were playing with 1 or 2 extra men. That first half was amazing. Right back. Put some respect on this guy's name, because Ben White has been consistently good all season. And along with Granit Xhaka has been, in my opinion, the most consistent player that we've had in the squad so far this season. I look at Ben White right now and I don't see a better fullback in the league. I really don't. I'm not even joking. People can throw Trippier at me, Cancelo. They can start talking about how Trent was a fantastic wing-back or fullback a few seasons ago. For me, Ben White walks into this combined Premier League 11 right now if people are doing one, yeah? He has been fantastic. I absolutely love everything about what I'm seeing from Ben White at the moment. He's been absolutely sensational. Then I look at what we've been doing at centre-back all season. We have 2 centre-backs that complement each other. William Saliba and Gabriel, who I thought was an absolute monster yesterday. Gabriel was sensational. Saliba, comfortable, calm on the ball. Sometimes Gabriel, yeah, he can be a bit rash, just like Romero can. But you know what? He's got that calm next to him. And it's mad, isn't it, that he's the one who's only 21 years old and Gabriel's the 25-year-old. It's mad. So for me, both of them deserve their flowers yesterday. I thought they kept Kane and Son to pretty much an invisible status at times. Then we move into midfield, and it just gets better and better for me. I look at what Thomas Partey was doing in the first few minutes. He was all over the place with his intensity, with his work rate, wanted to receive the ball. Few sideways passes that didn't quite pull off, but my God, what a performance. And I'm telling you now, people, if that goal goes in, that hits the post, it's one of the goals of the century. The way that he hit that first time, unbelievable technique. And if that would have gone in, it would have been a screamer. His performance was effortless. It was flawless in parts. For me, he was probably proving as to why 2 things. He's been the best defensive midfielder this season in the Premier League, and he's been pivotal to Arsenal. We cannot lose him. We literally cannot lose him to injury because our midfield looks so much different. The drop-off is too much. Granit Xhaka, another player who always in a North London derby I'm looking at thinking, are you going to let us down with your discipline? No, you're not. At the end, he stuck up for his players. He went over to the team. He had to be dragged from Arteta in the end because obviously he was getting himself into a ruckus. But what an unbelievable performance from him yet again in this role alongside Zinchenko. The pair of them look like they've been playing together for a long time. When he cuts into that inverted role, it looks sensational. Then I have to come on to my player of the match. Sometimes when you look at Ramsdale, you think, yeah, you kept us in that, to be fair to you, in the second half. But outfield, Ødegaard was magic again. This guy is consistently proving why he, at the moment, is proving all the doubt was wrong. Everyone that come for him and said, oh, Martin Ødegaard, he's not going to be good enough for Arsenal. He's not the number 10. He's not the one that I want to be seeing. Listen, I questioned his goals and assists. I never questioned the player. I always said he was technically gifted. I always said he was great to watch. But yeah, I was disappointed with his goals and assists in the last 2 seasons. He's already beaten his record last season, and we're only halfway through. He's got 7 goals and 4 assists of last season. He's already beaten that. He's got more goals and assists, and we're only 19 games in, 18 games in fact. So let's be real. When we look at that midfield trio, it is phenomenal. And what Ben White and Zinchenko are doing to add to that really complements it. We have a partnership and a relationship built with Saliba and, of course, Gabriel. And we just have stability. We have physical attributes now that don't allow us to be bullied in games. Don't allow Kane to absolutely destroy us in parts like he's done years and years and years now against Mustafi, against Socrates, against David Luiz. The list goes on. We now have a solid foundation and a fantastic midfield trio. And that is the sheer reason why we've done so well consistently away from home in terms of clean sheets, in terms of balance. And I think as well, there's no naivety being shown this season like we've seen previously. I've seen it maybe once or twice this season, once against Brighton and, of course, once at Old Trafford. But other than that, it's been pretty much flawless. It really has. Then we move into our front three, and I thought Saka had Sessegnon on toast. He was absolutely brilliant, causing all sorts of problems in the first half. Martinelli likewise showing the intensity and the fight and the spirit, winning the ball back. He had a brilliant game in the first half, went a bit quiet for me in the second. But for me, you have to look at Eddie Nketiah and question, yes, he may have been on the score sheet, but you know what I loved? Everything else. Off the ball play, his strength, his development of the last 18 months has been superb. His development in the last 6 months has been superb. I look at his link-up play. I look at his intelligence. I see stuff that I didn't see last season mentality-wise. There's been a change with Eddie Nketiah. He's been given his chance, and let's be fair, guys, he's delivered in a couple of games now, and he's come up against Spurs, and he ain't let us down with a performance. He might have been able to do better with one or two of the shots. I think the first one particularly needs to put away. There was another opportunity. People said, yeah, you need to slot home. I can understand the frustration. He's not a Jesus. He's not a Haaland. He's not an Mbappe. But he's actually okay to be a part of this squad. I don't want to be seeing him playing 25 games in a row, but I do want to see him a part of this squad. Why? Because he's on the boat. He gets it. He's bought into it. His mentality's there. Fair play to him. The work rate's there. The intensity is there. The drive is there. He wants to do what everyone else in that team wants to do, and that's win football matches. So fair play to Eddie Nketiah. Let's come on to Tottenham, because in the first half, I have to say it, and I've titled it, Arteta better than Conte. Arteta might not be a better manager than Conte when you look at CVs, right? I don't think anyone will doubt that. But let me tell you why Mikel Arteta is, one, better right now, and two, better for Arsenal. Because tactically, Conte was clueless yesterday. Absolutely clueless. Now, it would be hypocritical of me to sit there pointing fingers at the Spurs players, who, by the way, were shocking in parts as well. But I've been saying for the last few years with Arsenal that these players actually aren't really the issue, it's the manager. And I'm starting to go down that route now with Conte. He does not look happy there. I know his contract's running out. He doesn't really care long term. My God, he does not look happy. It was absolutely mad. So when I look at how they set up, I was really surprised to see Perisic out the team. Even more surprised to see Sessegnon playing. And when I saw Pape Mete Sarr get in front of Bissouma, I was really surprised. You're playing free at the back, and you know the system Arteta's playing. Change something up. And when you actually see it going wrong for most of that first half, to not change anything at all, it's just absolute criminal. For me, he crucified them. We had absolutely full control throughout the whole of that game. The first goal. The clown they have in goal called Hugo Lloris has been practicing his juggling as clowns. Because my God, what was he doing? Absolutely shambolic. I've seen some really poor performances from Lloris over the years, but Lloris in this season has made some absolute howlers, absolute clangers. Is improving to me why he is not only better than Ramsdale, like some of these Tottenham fans believe, but actually that he's not ready to stay in this position now. He's done. He is dusted. You cannot continue to make these mistakes and play in the goal. You need a great goalkeeper. Name me a team that has gone on to win a trophy or a Premier League title with a poor goalkeeper. You won't find one. Peter Schmeichel, David Seaman, Van der Sar, Petr Cech, Jens Lehmann. You've got to look at other goalkeepers like Ederson, Alisson. None of them have been poor, right? This guy is now a poor goalkeeper. That goal that we scored, I spoke to all of the Arsenal away, and they said we didn't have a clue what happened. All we saw was Saka go down the wing, cut inside, and it somehow went in. Unbelievable from Hugo Lloris. It's as if he was scared of the ball. Like, unbelievable goalkeeping. If that's my goalkeeper, I'm wanting him drop the next game. I don't care if you got Fraser Forster on the bench. He needs to be used because he is nowhere near deserved of a place of starting in the Tottenham lineup. But hey, what do I know? Keep him in. Let's hope that he continues and he's there for the next few seasons. I have to look at Sessegnon's game and the performance in the first half and think, wow, you got destroyed. Over on the other side, Matt Doherty, to be fair, competed with Martinelli in parts of the game. But in that first half, it was all down that right-hand side. It was all about Ben White and Saka. In terms of the build-up play, it was more on the left with Zinchenko cutting inside to the midfield and then putting it out to the right-hand side for Ben White and Saka. And Ben White is now turning into an overlapping right back at times in his game. He's got unbelievable intelligence and his knowledge of when to go is really impressing me. And his telepathy at the moment with Bukayo Saka is growing from strength to strength. The pair of them down that right-hand side is very solid. I've been really, really impressed. Saka was absolutely doing a number on him and had an opportunity to get a couple of chances that could have either scored or created a goal for us. It was absolute madness. And yet Conte does nothing. He does nothing. He doesn't throw Basuma on. He doesn't think their midfield is outplaying ours. He leaves it. He leaves Sarr and Højbjerg to take it. And they take an absolute battering from Ødegaard, Partey and Xhaka. And Zinchenko, because let's be fair, he was pretty much in midfield most of the game that I saw in the first half. He was outstanding. They got bullied. They got beaten up. They had no option. So what happens? We get the second. And it's a great piece of play from Thomas Partey. Unbelievable bit of skill. He literally takes the ball away from two men and then flicks it into Saka. Saka, to be fair to him, wait a pass and at the right time is spot on. And Martin Ødegaard, I have to say, delivers yet again. We go 2-0 up. Hugo Lloris, there's question marks yet again as to whether he could have saved it. But for me, I honestly believe that Martin Ødegaard right now has to be one of, if not the best Premier League players. He has to be. Best player in the league. He's been fantastic for weeks, all season, delivering, scoring goals, being instrumental from midfield, creating chances, making assists. Absolute steal from Real Madrid for 30 million when you look at it. It is absolutely mad. Madness. Madness what a signing that's been so far. Superb. So, at 2-0, we go into half-time and everybody's buzzing. And to know what? Rightly so. Tottenham ain't turned up. Tottenham have been beaten and battered and destroyed. And then we see a different Tottenham. And their intensity was different. They had press. Kulusevski was causing problems down their right-hand side. Kane and Son were getting into it a little bit more. But it still wasn't enough. Let me just talk about Son. I've never seen a player fall off a cliff as much as I have this season in him. He's been a player that I absolutely hate playing against. A player I've respected in terms of his talent. A player I've hated because him scoring goals against Arsenal was invisible. Absolutely pointless being there. Harry Kane does what Harry Kane does. 15 goals in 19 games. But where was he really? He had one header that maybe could have gone in against Ramsdale in the first half, just literally on half time. Other than that, again, pretty much invisible. Kulusevski, for me, didn't look 100% fit, but still caused more nuisance than any other player on the pitch. And when Richarlison comes on, can we just all accept this guy's now a flop? Like I said, he'd be flop of the season on the hybrid squad when I did a show with Kevin and Sophie. And I said, this guy for 60 million is a waste. This guy has not scored a Premier League goal, and it is halfway through the season. And all I see him do is fighting, moaning, scrapping, pushing people's in the faces, kicking people, making fouls, hacking, getting himself injured. This guy is an absolute flop. I'm sorry. Absolute flop. I can't sit there and say that he has been a good signing. And I wasn't excited for Spurs when they got him at all. I thought it would be a flop, and it has been a flop. So listen, Richarlison, you're the flop of the season in my opinion so far, and you're going to stay there until you can prove me wrong. Then we look at what Tottenham tried to change up. They brought in some subs. It was a little bit too late. I was absolutely shocked it took this long. But then Arsenal do something really clever and they make some changes themselves. They bring on Fabio Vieira and Smith Rowe, who are probably the only firepower that we've gone. And they brought on Kieran Tierney. And what was really interesting for me is that Kieran Tierney actually went ahead of Zinchenko. Now, I was really surprised by that. I was on the AFTV watch along and James said, I can see that being the case. And it was. I thought Zinchenko, if you was to ask me now, who's better defensively, who's better going forward, I would say defensively Tierney's better. They've both got ability at going forward. But for me, Zinchenko is more comfortable on the ball and certainly could link up play a bit better. Tierney's more of a bob it down the wing and cross it in. And that's not the side of the game for me with 20 minutes to go that you need to be doing. Really, really interesting one. And it worked. It actually worked. I looked at how it was working because I was interested to see what you do with it. Tommy Asu coming on. This is the sort of subs that we want to be seeing when you're 2-0 up, not when you're at 0-0. So we'll come on to firepower in January in a minute, but it was an absolutely perfect display in that first half, which, to be fair, killed them off completely. I think Tottenham are in trouble. I don't think Conte wants to be there. I said he wouldn't last out the past this season. Some would say he'd get sacked before his contract ends. Let me know in the chat what you think. We're going to put some of your questions up in a minute. I want you to put a queue so that I can actually see that it's a question. I've got some of them saved already. So we'll start with the 5 that I have got saved in a minute. But make sure that you do that. Put a queue or a super chat so that I know, and we'll go through your questions because I'm really interested to hear what your thoughts are of not just yesterday's game, but the future. What can we do in this title race? Can we win the league? Who would you like to see us sign? What is important and vital for us to make sure that we win this title? Do we have to keep players fit? Do we have to make signings? Do we need a bit of luck? Is it all free? That's the way I see it. Listen, I think Conte has decided his time's done. I honestly don't see any way past him going, either now or in the summer. I really don't see it. Pochettino might come back, but he's got to start all over again. Kane will want to go. I believe he probably will go to Manchester United, Harry Kane. I think Son will look at that future and think, I think my time's done here too. And then what does that leave the future of some of the other players around that are thinking, Romero, Kulusevski, I'm on loan. Do I want to really sign for Tottenham? It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. Tottenham's future looks very bleak, and long may it continue. Let's take some questions before we do come to a close end of the stream. Mark Taylor, big up yourself, bruv. He says, Dan, do you think that Edu will be under real pressure if we don't bring players in January? It won't just be Edu, Mark. It will be all of them. It will be the Cronkies. It will be Edu. It will be Vinay. It won't be Arteta because, listen, as much as he gets praise when the signings go well, he has made it very, 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 very clear that he wants new players. So if the board aren't going to give him no money for new players, we have to look at the board and all of them together. He's always about we're together, we're together. Yeah, Arteta's a part of it, but he's not the one saying he don't want players and the squad's good enough. At the moment, 15th, 16th of January, it ain't looking too bright, is it? Players coming in. I'm sure we'll do something, but whether it'll be enough is another question. This next one comes in from Goran Taylor, who says, Dan, your thoughts on this Rice news? The way it's breaking now screams of a PR move to get the fans excited. Whilst we failed to do the business we need in January, the league isn't even 50% in it for us. Centre midfield is needed. Well, I agree with you. Centre midfield is needed 100%. And he is the only player that I would look at in the summer and go, yes. In that position, he's the one I go yes to. Why? Because he's as good on his day as a Thomas Partey. He's nowhere near as good in terms of the consistency and where he's been in his career. He's younger than Partey. He's got potential to be that Partey. But he could slot in and do that job. I think he'll play alongside him. If we do get him in, he ain't going to sit on the bench. We'll probably have to say to rotate with Granit Xhaka with all the games that we'll be playing. If we do win the title, Champions League is back, etc., etc. That would be a great signing, but it is going to be a summer move. Personally, from what I've seen in the last few days, he's going to Chelsea because whatever we do, Chelsea will trump it with this absolute nutty madman who will say, Arsenal have agreed a 95 million deal with Declan Rice, and they'll say, we'll give you 120. And he'll go to Chelsea. That's my honest opinion, bruv. Mama says, don't you think we need new signings the first week in January? They could be settled and playing now. Yeah, 100%. I think we've spoken about this a lot of times. In previous windows, we want to be getting this now. Why are we waiting all the time? Like, oh, it's the 16th. We still aren't quite sure on our terms and how we're going to agree personal terms. Come on, just get these deals done. You've had since September, right? The board, Edu, Kroenke, they've all clearly been identifying players. Go and get it done. Absolute madness there hasn't been. This one comes from AO James. Hope you're well. AO says, great show, Dan. Would you take Raheem Sterling if he was available? No, I wouldn't. And I'll tell you why. He needs everything else in place for him. And as much as I think he's got that, I don't think Mikel Arteta would like to see him as a bit part player at Arsenal behind the likes of Saka and Martinelli for the amount of money that he'll want and the amount that it'll cost from Chelsea. I don't see that as a possibility at all, if I'm honest with you. I just cannot see that one happening. Thoughts on Rice and Moussa Diaby link, says Nero. Listen, Moussa Diaby is a player I like, but again, how much better is he than Mudryk? Potentially better, potentially as good as, we don't know. So for me, it's not a player I look at and go, wow, he's not Premier League proven. It's going to be a lot of money. It's going to be a risk. If you were to ask me, I'd rather go for Rafael Leao from AC Milan if we're going to go abroad. If not, then we stick to Zaha or to Trossard and go with that wide player. I'm still worried that we're not looking at a forward or a midfielder. We're looking at a winger. You know, Rafinha or Leao would be two that I would go with now if we're going to go abroad. Otherwise, Zaha and Trossard. What else have we got here? This has come from E. Ross. Danny, who would you, Danny? Don't call me Danny, man. Come on, I'm Dan. I don't do Danny's. There's no Danny here. But big up E. Ross. Says, Dan, who would you like to see us sign from the Premier League? I mentioned a few already. I think Zaha, I think Tielemans, I think Trossard, Ruben Neves. They're sort of players I believe personally we need ahead of some of the others. If you're looking for a striker, Tony or Mitrovic would be two I'd look at. But again, are these summer moves? Are they realistic? We'll have to wait and find out. That's the way that I see it. What else have we got here? We've got some other questions. I'm going to have to go back up the chat because I've lost them now. Tired Garnosaurus says, Conte, he should not be sacked. He's doing a great job taking the Spuds down. Absolutely. 100% agree with you, bruv. I'd absolutely love to see it. Karen, big up, Karen. Hope you're well. Says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how nervous were you yesterday? I was at 11. Well, Karen, I'm not going to say I was at 11. I'm not going to say I was at 10. I'm not going to say I was at 9 or 8. I was probably a 6 or a 7. And I'll tell you why. I had confidence that if we played the way that we did, we'd win the game. But I'm never massively confident going into a North London derby because we've seen before that in 9 years we've struggled to beat them there. So, of course, I was nervous 100%. A. Noonan says, who do you realistically think will sign this window? Realistically, I believe that we could go in the market for a Tielemans. I think we could go into the market for a Trossard. I think we could go into the market for Rafinha. But do I see all three of them happening? Who knows? I think the players that people want aren't going to happen. Vlahovic, I can't see. I can't see Tony. I can't see Mitrovic. I can't see Zaha. I can't see Ruben Neves. So it's going to have to be some serious work, if I'm honest with you. Craig has said, Dan, the level of control and quality is phenomenal from this Arsenal side. The only thing missing from this is depth. That comment right there is perfect. Absolutely perfect. First 11, love it. I'm happy with Smith Rowe. I like Tierney and Tomiyasu. I like Vieira from what I've seen in parts. Yeah, the jury's still out a bit, but he looked good. We need more depth, man. We need more depth. Tired Gunnosaurus, why do we take so long to negotiate? Why can't other teams take less than a week to agree in principle? Yeah, facts. Facts. I mean, Chelsea have gone and bought Felix and Mudryk because they're not bothered about money. And I think at the moment we're trying to save the pennies, which is unfortunate for me, but this is the way Arsenal do business. G. Weber says, Potts, should Arteta just concentrate on the Premier League and put the second string out in all other competitions due to the small squad? Well, listen, we're only in the FA Cup and the Europa League. We're not in all four competitions. At the moment, I think we have to use our squad wisely because we don't have strength in depth. When I look at what we are doing or what we have done with our squad, it's been disappointing for me. The Europa League games were fine. We were able to beat Bodo Glimt. We were able to beat PSV. We were able to beat Zurich. We weren't able to beat Brighton. And with Oxford, we needed our first team to come on, i.e. Xhaka, Zinchenko, etc., to win. So it does worry me. And you make a great point. But I don't think we're ready to just throw away competitions yet. Because for me, 8 points clear would probably, some would argue, say that you could utilise your squad a little bit better. So let's see what happens there. Where else are we? Wilson's in the house. How you doing, Wilson? Hope you're well, bruv. Says, which positions need to be filled in the January transfer window? At least 2. It needs to be a midfielder and it needs to be a forward. I don't care what names you throw at me, but we need to have added quality coming in there right now that if one of them gets a knock, i.e. Jesus or Partey, then we're able to cover them. And I'm not so sure that we are at the moment. What's your take on Pulisic, says Daniel Hartley? No, not for me. Not for me, not someone I look at and go, wow. I'm not really interested, if I'm honest, in players like him who, let's be honest, is absolutely failing at Chelsea. Looked good when he first came, 63 million was he? But I don't think he's right, personally. One I do agree with you, though, Daniel, is Nonso. Gnonto from Leeds impresses me. What do you think of him? I think he looks fantastic. I really like him. More of a number 10 from what I can see, but I think can play wide. Get called up to the Italy squad, I believe, as well in one of the latest. So very, very interesting one. And I think it could be a really good signing for somebody. I'm just not sure that Arsenal are the team that are being linked with him. Guys, we're going to leave it there. Absolutely superb stream. Thank you so much yet again. Interaction as ever, comments flying in, everybody excited about yesterday, everybody excited to see who we're going to sign in the next couple of weeks of this transfer window, and this one is going to be seriously interesting. Guys, we're going to leave it there. Make sure you smash a like on your way out, please. It means the world. Please subscribe if you can. It's absolutely free. I'd love to get up to 7K as quickly as I can, and I'm almost there, so I just need your help. Smash the like, smash the subscribe, and at 9 o'clock tonight, I'll be over on Lead Judges TV with my boy Lead Judges and Super Kevin Campbell, and Sharoy from AFTV as we talk through more of Arsenal's near future transfer window and, of course, that Demolition Derby Day. Take care, people, and up the Arsenal.